Okay, hello all. Happy Saturday. I don't know if you guys saw my last post where I did a never forget for 9/11, which is today. Another year has gone by, another day has gone by. So as I mentioned in my last video, I send my prayers out. Hey Kai. Send my prayers out to all the family members, friends, sisters, cousins, aunts who lost somebody that day. Because even though it's been, 9 when it happened? 20 years ago? It still doesn't take away the pain. So I just want to say before I start the show, we will never forget. My prayers go out to you and yours. And I hope today isn't as long as it seems. That being said, welcome to another episode of Pure Sessions. As you guys can see, I'm finally in a different, cool, awesome location. As I mentioned in the other episodes, I get a little cabin fever when I'm at the same location. As you guys know, it's either in my room or out back, but it's so nice out today, and I'm trying to suck up all the summer vibes that's left until next week, because after next week it starts getting dark at like 4 o'clock, so like 3. So I hope everybody's enjoying today and the weather and being safe and all that fun jazz and things like that. So this is episode 56, and I have a special guest coming on. Well, all my guests are special so I always do say that in the beginning, but I have a guest coming on, and I'll give a little background before he comes on, because I don't want to take away from the whole process of having him on. But Elvis and I go way back, not like way back, but like we go way back to back when I was like in, I think, middle school or high school, when I was at Bible study at our church where we go to. And I was new to the church because my mom worked there, and I was new to like joining like the community things and things like that. You know how your parents just throw you in a bunch of after school projects and activities and things like that, when you'd rather be home playing something. So we met during there, and then as the years went on, I was in the Bible study, with Wednesday night Bible studies. I was in choir. We met, also did choir at the church and things like that, and we did Christmas shows and just would see him around the church. And then lo and behold, when I went to Montclair State, when I got my last degree, he was working there, and I was like, well, isn't that crazy? Small world, right? I mean, even though we kind of live in the same area, and now fast forward till now, he's actually getting his PhD from that school. And Montclair State is a really good school. Let me just put that out there, because I know people say, well, it's so small, it's local, you didn't stay on campus. I'm like, well, I already live in town, so I'm saving money not staying on campus. I mean, I did that whole staying on campus thing back when I was at Rutgers, and I got all that out. So that time in my life, when I got to Montclair, I was like focused on graduating, So, but yeah, that's just the basis, little mini story of how we know each other. And when he comes on, he'll say this as well. And it grew into a mentorship, colleagues, friendship, and things like that, because it's a struggle. It's hard when you're a transfer student in a new school. Like, granted, it's local, but like you have to start all over again. You have to find your tethers. You have to find where to go and things like that. So it was nice to have somebody that I knew, and who could also help with the process of going from one thing to the next, because at that level I was ready to be done with school. So I think that's pretty dope. And last week I had I did an episode myself. I haven't done an episode myself in a minute. I like having the different guests on, like I mentioned before, because it gives a different perspective on views, whether you're like talking about like relationships, school, music, working, not working, COVID, a plethora of different conversations. And I like having, or I'm trying to have, different backgrounds, if you will, of people on who kind of can give more to the table. Like, nothing wrong with just having just artists, musicians, things like that. But it's interesting to have people who have different backgrounds, like a PhD in like family care, or a background in counseling and things like that, which he has all that stuff in. Because I'm like, a PhD, I can't even get past my bachelor's. And funny fact, I originally was not going to go to Montclair State. I wanted to go back to Rutgers because I went to, all right, small little story. So when I graduated high school, I barely made it out, right? So I had like maybe like a 2 point something. I don't even know. I got C's. I was like, okay, that's a pass. I'm fine. So my dream school, and also I applied late. I applied like mad late. So I was only able to apply to a couple of schools at the time because it was past the deadline. And my mom was so pissed because she was like, you know, you had like a whole year or a whole 6 months to apply, and you waited to the last minute to apply to these little schools. So I applied to like Ramapo, Drew, Fairleigh Dickinson colleges that I knew that I could actually somehow get in. But I had like dream schools, obviously, like Howard, Spelman, things like that. So I applied to Rutgers because I wanted to go there because my dad went there and he made it sound like it was so cool. So I applied to Rutgers. I didn't get in because of my grades, so I had to go to Berkeley, which is a great school as well. Berkeley in Woodland Park, fantastic school. I recommend it to get my GPA up. So I went there. I hated it because it was the size of this. There was no campus. There was no parties. There was no sororities. And I'm like, this is not the experience that for my first year that I wanted. So I was kind of like down in the dumps because I'm like, this is not like what I envisioned. Because this real school that I wanted was across town. So I worked, I studied, I didn't do anything, and I got my grades up. And I made president and dean's list, so I was able to go to Rutgers. So then I was at Rutgers, did that, blah, 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 whatever. Then Rutgers didn't work out, so I had to go back to Berkeley to finish my associates. Then I'm like, well, I guess I have to get a bachelor's because apparently jobs don't think an associate is a degree for whatever reason. So I went to Montclair State, and I hated there because I was in Montclair, where I live, and I'm like, I can't get away from here. So I went to Montclair State. I enjoyed it, and I finally was able to do like the community things, be a part of groups and things like that, do the actual college thing. So I say all that to say, the school you go to, or the continuing of education that you continue to educate yourself in, really is the experience that you make it. And I know that sounds like a cliche and just is easier said than done. But really, I could have been miserable the whole time. I could have been angry the whole time. I could have been like, I did all this to get away. Now I'm back here. But I sucked it up. I grew up, and I'm like, I'm graduating because I want to pursue my degrees. So I really feel like school isn't for everybody, but it isn't a bad thing to do, if that makes sense. So that's like a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But I just say all that to say the schools that I went to, Berkeley, in Woodland Park, in New York, Montclair State, and Rutgers in Brunswick are all great schools. But it took me, I guess, 3 schools to really grow up and be like, okay, let me just settle down and just focus and do things like that. And to continue my education, because I didn't want to. Because I didn't want to, but I did. And here I am now doing something that I actually love. I'm not doing my degree. None of us really are. But I am doing something that I really love, which is doing my music and producing different things and doing the podcast. And I was able to publish the book. So I guess, this B. Sorry. This B. I'm trying to like not swat it, but swat it at the same time. So forgive me. So I guess having the experience, if you will, of going to school and learning new things and having your eyes open to do things does help. And I feel like it has gotten me further in life than where I was. Would I do it again? Maybe. Maybe I would. I don't know if I would go back for my master's. It's a thought. But I guess in due time, I guess. So I can go on and on about my life and what have you. But I just will wait for Elvis to, excuse me, come on. Last thing I will say, the episodes are available as well, because I'm still trying to figure out Anchor, because normally I just do SoundCloud, YouTube, and here, Instagram Live. But they're also available to watch, like little snippets on Twitter. I do little snippets on Snapchat, TikTok, like 2-3 minutes, so you can just get like the basis of the episode. And Apple Podcasts and Spotify podcast. I kind of had like a hiccup with figuring that out, but all the episodes are available on there for you to see. So it says here, Elvis is here. Hello. Okay, so all you have to do, because I'm new to this, adding people on, is just send a request to be a part of the live. Unless I can do it. If you want me to, you let me know. But it's so nice out. It's really nice out. I hope that bee went away, so don't mind me. I'm not a fan of bees because they attack me all the time. I got attacked by one when I was like 8, and it ruined my childhood, so I can't stand bees. Okay, so let's see. The request didn't come up. It's taking a minute. It's just dots. I don't know what that means. It's just dots. I see it's sent, but I can't click it. Hold on. All right. Okay, here we go. Technical difficulties. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
How's it going? I'm like, my head is like cut off, so I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes. Can you? My phone is kind of in and out because I'm outside, so it's a connection.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think you were kind of delayed, but I can still hear you clearly now, so you're good.
Okay. Can you hear me? Is it okay?
We're good.
Okay. How's it going? I'm not being rude. It's just I don't do the sun, so my eyes are sensitive, so that's why I have the glasses on. But I can still see.
You're good. Yeah, I've been well. It's been so I'm in the process of training for the New York Marathon. So my body is tired. I had a really long run this morning, and my body is shot, so to speak. So I'm just hoping to take the rest of the day a little bit easy.
Relax, right?
Yeah. How are you? How have you been?
I'm good. I'm well. I gave a little intro of kind of how you and I met, our relationship over the years. I mean, I talked about it for like 10 minutes. I'm not going to say it again.
Yeah, I caught it.
Oh, you caught it?
Yeah, I was on, yeah.
You got it. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm good. So, like, what's the process of training for a marathon? Because I've always wanted to know. Like, are there different levels?
Yeah, so there's levels to this, as one person said. No, I think it depends on your running experience, right? I think if someone who's just starting off, obviously their training regimen and plan is going to be very different than someone who's been doing it for 7, 8, 9 years.
Right.
So this is my first marathon, but I've been running for 10, 15 years in my life, so to speak. So I it's like the beginner phase, the intermediate phase, and then the advanced phase, so to speak. So I'm at the intermediate phase right now, and the training is really intense. You have to kind of if you want to really do well, I should say. Right. So you change up your nutrition a little bit. You find different things filled with electrolytes to kind of hydrate yourself. You have to pay more attention to your body, to what goes into your body. Then also, you have to come up with a particular weekly mileage training plan. So speed workouts, distance workouts. Today was my 20-mile run, so it was kind of my long run, etc.
Wait a minute.
I saw your face.
Wait a minute. What?
Yes.
Gosh, that's amazing. I could barely do that. All right. I'm going to move here because this is being respectful. So, we're going to move in.
That's fine. You're slightly cutting out, just so you do know. I can still hear you.
Is it delayed?
Yeah, a little bit delayed.
Okay. Let me try moving over here. All right. Let's see. Can you hear me now, or is it still delayed?
I can still hear you. But can't see you, but I can hear you.
I can't see you, but you can hear me. All right. I was just moving from that bee. So, all right. How about now? Is it still delayed?
Yep.
Okay. Hopefully the bee won't bother me anymore. So, I'm still in the fact that you said 20 miles. So, what's the marathon that you're running? Total? So
it's the New York Marathon in November. So November 7th.
Okay.
So it's one of the larger ones for the globally, so to speak. So looking forward to that. 8 weeks out.
That's cool. So, did you always want to run a marathon? I don't know if you say I want to check it off my bucket list. And came up.
Yeah. So it was on my bucket list for almost 8 years now. But life happens, and then I wasn't really disciplined. I was just running to just be running. And then I'm like, you know what? I should probably get into this now, because the older I get, the harder the training is going to be. Even when I'm training now, I'm doing extremely well. But I'm like, man, I'm not 24, 25 anymore, you know? So my recovery is very different now than, you know, in my 30s, so to speak, than it was in my 20s. But
No, no, I don't want to hear it. I'm still 21, so we're just gonna say that.
yes, yes, yeah. We'll keep it to that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was gonna say something, but buying this. So if I move again, it's not because I'm by my car. I'll just run in my car. But yeah. So I gave a little for most of it where we have. So I have been following your posts and stuff like that, which is very insightful. Like, it's great. Somebody who really still kind of believes in. I know that sounds like I have people they're like, oh, yeah, I don't go to church study, or oh, I go to Bible study, but I pray. And it's like you don't want to like force church somebody or force somebody. Like I've cut people off who don't follow that will. So it's like tricky. So I'm like, how do you what you do training, school, and having relationships that's healthy, not just for you, but like your lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah, good question. So, a couple of things. Again, you're starting to cut out just a little bit, but I did catch all of that. Just FYI, just so you do know.
Okay.
But first and foremost, you know, thank you for reaching out to me and inviting me to be on. I appreciate it. You know, we go way back, so I appreciate it. So to answer your question, you know, I think when we talk about balancing things, ultimately, each of us has priorities.
Right.
My priorities may look like different than your priorities. Your priorities might look different than those who are watching right now's priorities, but we all got priorities. You have to determine what your priorities are, right? So for me, as you mentioned, you know, for me, I'm a Bible believing Christian. So God is centered and priority in all that I do. So I haven't always been like that because I didn't always balance things well, so to speak, but over, you know, the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I've been building up kind of the muscle habits and the rhythms to be able to do it. Okay. So for the most part, I make that priority and everything else centers around that. And I think once you have that focus or that mindset, not that it's easy to balance everything else, but it's much smoother and much more manageable. So you have that, and then, you know, my own devotional time with the Lord every morning. I'm real disciplined with the way that I do things. I'm very structured. So, you know, I'm up at like 4 every morning. And, you know, my first hour is typically dedicated towards God, praying and scripture reading or whatever that time frame is going to look like. And then from between 5 and 7 a.m. Is my workouts. So running, you know, so that's the best time that I can be most active. And when I'm not mentally exhausted or physically exhausted, obviously, I use that time to work out. And that's just typically every morning, to be honest with you. And then after that, I'm at work all day. And then at night, usually until 8, I'm either in class or I'm teaching a class. So one or the other. So typically my day starts from like 4 a.m. and I don't get back home to like 8 or 8:30 at night. And then when you get home, obviously you have to prep for the next day. You have to do some, if I have homework, I have to get homework done and assignments in. If I have lesson planning to do, I got to do lesson planning that night, and do all of those components, and then just try to find some time to decompress before the evening, or before I go back to bed, you know, at 11 o'clock, so to speak. So I think we all have priorities, and I think it's important to identify what your priorities are, and those just happen to be mine, you know. Balancing, obviously, you know, I'm in a PhD in family science and human development. So one of the things that I'm looking at is marriage quality and stability, African-American resilience, post-traumatic slavery effects on African-Americans and how that has impacted the family, and then family well-being, you know, things that negatively or positively impacts, you know, family well-being, so to speak. So if being also studying in that area, I also have learned a couple of things through the thousands of articles that I read over the past year that deal with balancing, that deal with family well-being, so on and so forth. Because I think there's a lot of things that are competing for our interest, you know, just practically. You know, you might have family stuff going on. You might have your own personal things going on. You might be in a relationship. You know, you have school, you have work, you have other life circumstances that come up out of the blue. So life and my mindset is always going to be very busy. And as I've gotten older, it's only gotten more busier, for lack of better words. So it's up to us to prioritize what's most important. And I've long, I won't say long, but for the past couple of years, I've been more, I've set boundaries around those things, and I've asked God to place a hedge of protection around those things, so to speak, and to help me guard and guide those things. You know, so if it's not God, it's family, because at the end of the day, my family is my biggest supporters, right? So it's always family before even friends. So God forbid something happens to me, who's going to be the one that's taking care of me or kind of in my corner? You know, it's going to be family, right? So they should get most of my time, my siblings, my mom, etc. And then it's friends, and then anything else. Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm saying okay. I'm saying okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, no. So I think we all have different priorities. So I think it's important to manage it. And I'm not saying like it's easy, because it is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. You know, life is a roller coaster. So there are months where I get it extremely well. There are weeks where I don't. You know, the past couple of weeks has been really difficult, because now I'm training. So now I'm physically exhausted and tired every single day, but I still have to get to work and perform just as good as everyone else, because a marathon is not an excuse not to do my job, right? So, and still focus in class. A marathon is not an excuse not to focus on my studies, you know? So it is much more difficult mentally, emotionally, and physically, but I can do it. If I can do it, anyone else can do it, you know?
I don't know about that 20, but I'm still on that. Okay. So, what is it that you are studying? I mean, I know, but for people who don't, what is it that you're studying now in school?
Yeah, so I haven't finalized my interest, but in my PhD program, I am looking at African-American marital quality and stability, family quality and stability. Yeah, one of the things that I've been reading a lot is historical slavery, from the West African, you know, transatlantic slave disorder, and the disenfranchisement and the separation of African Americans from family. It was the first original breakdown of the family coming from West Africa, and I'm West African, so West Africans typically, you probably have heard the mindset, it takes a village to raise a child. You know, that's an African, for lack of better words, proverb, so to speak. So starting from the transatlantic slave kind of area and the breakdown of the family, we see the institutionalized oppression in a lot of different areas. So I'm starting with that, talking about all of those historical concepts and how it's psychologically, sociologically, and emotionally negatively impacted African American families.
Wow.
So that's the beginning of it. And then I'm looking at different social determinants of health, so like economic stability, housing disparity, income disparity, lack of educational attainment, all of those good things. But I'm also going to put a resilience and a strengths-based perspective on it, because there's been a lot of what we call it in scholarship the deficit perspective, so the negative components. But there's a lack of positive or resilience components, so what does work, and be able to identify those strategies to provide additional supportive measures. So it's a really exciting area. It's kind of, you know, somewhat of a new thing nowadays, especially when we look around at what's going on globally in terms of mental health, emotional health, physical health, all those good, you know, equity, diversity, inclusion, all that good stuff. You know, so that's kind of going to be my area. It's what I'm studying now, and we'll see. And also the impact of COVID, you know, so.
Are you vaccinated, not pro, you're not masks, you know?
Yes. So here's how I always answer that question. You know, I am pro-choice in terms of allowing people to decide what it is they want to do. If you get it, great. If you don't get it, great. If you want it, great. If you don't want it, great. My problem comes in when other individuals are forcing it upon you. Like that I still haven't worked out, to be completely honest with you. I think that's my frustration is forcing that you have to get, and then also making life difficult around you, because if you don't have it, you know, life will become very difficult. And I don't think that's fair, so to speak. No, I do think we need masks, you know, and I'm for people getting it, and I'm also for people choosing not to get it, you know. I think everyone should be entitled to decide. The way they're going about it, I don't think is the best way. That's just my personal opinion. Especially the last couple of months, I think they could have taken a different approach. Because what folks don't realize is it's less about, in my opinion, by getting the vaccine or not getting the vaccine, and more about the distrust of the government and what's been going on historically. If we're all being honest, you know, many individuals don't trust government officials, politicians. You know, that stems from, you know, even with African Americans, it stems from slavery. It's like everything that has gone in every age period or every era, so to speak, there's been a deep-seated level of distrust when you look at all of the events that have transpired. So now you're expecting everyone to trust you now. That's just, like, think about that for a moment. Let's say you're in a relationship, right? And someone keeps cheating on you and breaking your heart and all those other good stuff, and the person is still saying, trust me, trust me, trust me. It's like, what? You know, psychologically and emotionally, that doesn't make sense, you know? So while COVID is real, you know, so I do think people need to take precautions without a doubt. I think that's extremely important, extremely important. But I think people should be able to decide. So that's how I answer that.
Okay. But like, I get about the people who are traveling, know they aren't vaccinated, up in the plane, bringing all that wherever they're going. Like, I get, but like, or people being in those not protests, but what is it, like those interviews where they're saying masks are the devil and you shouldn't believe them and masks don't do anything. But I just, like, I don't understand, why is it so hard just to wear a mask for like whatever you're doing and then take it off in the car? That's just my thing. I just never understood. It's not complicated. Literally, I don't know.
No, so I agree. And if I had if I had it my way, I think we should wear masks for the rest of our lives, because even when you think about people getting sick prior to COVID and people coughing up a storm and just being real, in my opinion, real disgusting with certain things and not taking proper precautions, I think that's dangerous. So having a mask on, I actually prefer to have a mask on. So those who say it's like the devil, no, I don't agree with that. I think those people are irrational, and that's just my personal opinion. I know COVID is real. I think we do need to, you know, have on masks. I was kind of an advocate for never releasing the mask mandate. So that's why when I think they released it this past summertime, I was shocked. Yeah. I thought at least until the end of the year, and now we see that they're reverting back to putting on the mask, which I think was an irresponsible decision on their part. Just like I think they're handling this whole thing irresponsibly. So I think we still needed to put masks on. We should have kept it on for the rest of the year, and, you know, take it from there. So.
No, I agree. Okay, so at least we eye to eye to something, because some people I talk to are like, oh, I don't believe in it and it's not accurate and everything they're saying is a lie. I'm like, okay.
No, it's real. It's real. Trust and believe. People have lost lives, so, you know, and a lot of people.
Okay, but you do you. But
yeah.
So, what you're studying, how I always ask people who are people of color, I guess we're still minorities, whatever that word means, about last year with everything that has happened with George Floyd, with Ahmaud Arbery, that still is not resolved. I don't know what's happening with that, but with everything that has happened, what were you, it's like a weird question, but like, obviously you're feeling anger and annoyance and sick and tired, being sick and tired, but like, how did last year's stuff, for lack of better words, kind of like, I don't know, it's like make you feel like, I know it's like a weird question, but you get what I'm saying? Like last year was a lot with COVID and all that other stuff, but like, do you feel like it got better? Do you feel like we're making a change or a dent? Do you feel like it's just going to be a matter of time before something else happens like that again? Now, type of thing.
Yeah. So good question. I think, you know, it wasn't, so last year wasn't a huge shocker because I've been following the news for the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. So from, you know, 2014, you know, even before Trayvon in 2014 and then Mike Brown in 2015 and Freddie Brown, like moving forward. So I've been following a lot of the cases for, you know, a couple of years. Last year, I think is when it when things really came to the forefront more so. And it's interesting because all of the stuff going and then happening during a time frame of COVID, right? So I think it forced us to kind of slow down and really assess what was going on. So although the reason for us slowing down was really difficult and tough, it really forced us to take a pause and say, hey, what's going on? So all of the, you know, the Breonna Taylor and Sandra Bland a couple of years ago, like all of those components are not new, even historically. Me looking at the historical information, you know, this has happened throughout centuries. You know, when folks say we are the United States, sometimes I think we are the divided states, you know, because when we think about politicians and political agendas and all that good stuff, you know, and things not happening fairly or individuals not treated equally, I think you can't help but to feel some sort of anger, you know. So very angry, very frustrated, you know, very bitter because, you know, as an African American individual born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, but also West African, I've experienced a lot of racism and oppression and things of that sort throughout my entire life, just from where I've grown up from, you know. So, but at the same time, being a Bible believing Christian, it's like, all right, in my anger, I gotta make sure I don't sin, because if I do, then that defeats the purpose and the point of trying to advocate for change and those types of things, you know. So I'm not gonna lie and say it was easy. It was very difficult to go through that, and I had to talk it out a lot. I did two panels last year because I felt myself wrestling with it a lot, you know, because it could be anybody. So it was a shame. I know what is his name? Got George Floyd, you know, forgetting the officer's name. You know, he was sentenced, you know, but that was like one out of, you know, a billion.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't know why the officer's name.
Yeah, that's fair. So did you think that was a fair sentence for him? For them?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, he was guilty on all accounts. So I think he got what he deserved. But it's not really fair because George has lost his life. Derek Chauvin. Thanks, Kathleen. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate you. Yeah. So it's not really fair because no matter how many years or charges someone gets, someone's life is still gone, and their family is dealing with all of that. You know, that emotional trauma and pain. Again, being my PhD is in family science and human development, so I'm all day in this stuff. And the sociological and emotional factors, psychological factors, really impact individuals more so than we put at the forefront. You know, that's why in the past couple of months, if you've been paying attention, you know, it's been a lot of mental health stuff. People, large celebrities, just taking time for their mental health because they need it, and that's good. But then you see people in the comments criticizing them for taking time for themselves. So it's
why me for COVID and it coming to. I commend people looking at themselves at the time.
Yeah.
Instead of just going and then up. That's my opinion. Can't keep their mouth.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And I see Kathleen and I agree. So there's no justice for George. Justice would be that he said, absolutely, I agree. Only accountability for Derek. Yep, I agree. Perfectly said, Kathleen.
Just save that. I'm gonna save that. Yeah, I was just curious. Talk either politics, what happened last year. Like it's nothing new. I just wanted to know that because, so in my opinion, I don't not being, you know, because I'm sure things would happen. I don't know. I just feel like it says this is going to take a long time for a change. Such a cliche, but I think it's really. But it has to start. It can't be us always trying to go
Yeah.
on. So.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and for what it's worth, when you look at the data, there has been significant change. So, and I think, you know, you got to be open and honest about that. When you look at, like, intellectually honesty, when you look at where we were and there's some of the policy that have been changed, you know, so there has been change, but has it been enough? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Oh my gosh. So, not to get too personal, you can let me know if it is. How are you, or not, how do you how do you go about picking the sounds like weird that I talk to, they preference. I mean, everybody, but also has to have some preference. It can't just be money or cars or take care of you. Like, what's like that? Like, what's the deeperness of that person? Their views, what their values, what do they believe in? Yeah, at least that's how I now as I'm getting sort of.
Got it. So you kind of cut out. I think you asked me, am I dating? I think that was the question.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't hear the rest. Okay.
No. So no, I heard the rest, but I didn't hear the first part. But I assume that's what you asked me.
Yeah, and then the legs.
Got it. Got it. See, I can read lips. I can read lips. No. So right now I am not. And that's kind of just by choice right now.
What's the point? It's COVID. Nobody has time for that. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, so I'm not, but I think one of the biggest things for me is to, see what the person's faith. I think,
Yeah.
obviously faith is a big thing. Again, a Bible-believing Christian, so I think that's the biggest thing for me
Yeah.
because I think that sets the precedent and standard for all things from my worldview. Someone else might feel differently, obviously, and that's completely fine. That's just where I stand. Mm-hmm. So that's big for me. That's a non-negotiable, right? And then, you have the other components in terms of the ambition, the goals, being able to stand on their own 2 feet, so to speak, the, having fun, enjoying life, wants a family, like all of those components are really important to me that, I can always talk through and, emotionally healthy and available is big, right? That's a huge one.
That's tricky. People are so far removed from anything. But I get it. I mean, involved, emotional, but I think people are nervous because they, I guess, have bad experience, want to put themselves to get rejected, and especially when looking for somebody who's like, I guess, in and out the church, it's a lot of pressure. Like all these things that a Christian woman should be, like tricky. Like, how do you go about it? People who are kind of like, if they don't go, not all these things, you can't talk. So that's that. How do you go about like finding that man who follows your belief, not to a T, like, who also has her own.
Yeah, good. It's a really, really good question. I think it's important to first, you build friendship, and I think that's something that I failed to do historically. So I take full onus on that. Sometimes when you like someone, your emotions could lead you faster than what they're supposed to. And one person told me once that use your emotions as a gauge, but not a guide. And I would use them as a guide, and forget about that whole friendship piece. And the friendship piece is important because if it's an open, honest, transparent, and genuine friendship where both people know, hey, there's some level of interest, but this can clearly, we can say next week, you know what, this isn't a good fit. You ain't got to badmouth me. I ain't got to badmouth you. It just we're two mature adults to be able to determine that and decide that. Those genuine friendships, I think, are the best. And throughout those conversations, you're asking some level of intentional conversation. And at some point, you'll be able to see, okay, this person is for real, or this person might just be saying certain things because they think that's what I want to hear.
Exactly.
Right? And I think you can always tell that. At least now I can. I couldn't before, but now I can because of experiences that I've gone through. So friendships is important. Building that honest friendship.
Yeah, I feel with everything that's going on, like just focus on one, like loving yourself first, but also just like get life together, include something else into your life path or track, finishing school or continuing finishing school, teaching and doing all this marathon action, and of course have that person to share life with. There's a season for everything. But I just feel like people nowadays, at least my age generation, essentially, whatever that means, kind of just tend to rush to the altar, get all like the cool stuff away. Like getting to know the person, live, see how they really are, doing things. It's like, oh my God, I need to complete me. I'm like, essentially, yeah, but like, there's so much stuff that's experienced by enjoy yourself. It says, but like, I feel like doing a little bit here and there, it's not that complicated. At least for me, or at least for females. I don't know about men. Y'all are different.
Yeah.
Like, ask for so, but like, I think it depends on, honestly, too.
Yeah. So, and I think I'll add one more thing just for the essence of time. I think oftentimes, and I did this myself, we're so prone to look outward, meaning looking at someone else, and we don't take the time to look inward.
True.
I think if we've done time and we put so many expectations on someone else to complete or fit a certain mold when we're not completely healed from the things that we've dealt with.
Exactly.
I've learned that when I've healed, when I was honest with myself and healed from things of my past relationships or childhood wounds, it helped me to see life much more clearer. Now, if I can see life much more clearer, that means I have a good sense of who I am, I have a good sense of my purpose, and I have a good sense of where I'm going in life. If I have a good sense of who I am, my purpose in life, and where I'm going in life, I have a good sense of who I can take with me, right? So I can't just bring everyone along, just like everyone can't bring me along, right? So if I want to live in Jersey for the rest of my life, let's just say,
yeah,
and let's say the person I meet, we meet on all other aspects of life, right? Perfectly. But she has a calling to do ministry in Australia, and she has a solid calling on that. That ain't gonna work. What's that gonna work? You know what I'm saying? So, but oftentimes I've rushed it myself. So I've learned that I've had to do a lot of introspection, a lot of self-assessment to deal with the things that I was dealing with, to deal with the wounds and all that good stuff before I decided to put myself back out there and say, hey, I'm interested in dating again, right? And what that did for me was initially what my scope of finding somebody might have been like this. So why? It's now like this. Not because I think I'm better than anybody or not because anyone is better than me. It's just now I know, okay, I'm going in this particular direction. So if someone is going in a different direction, it doesn't mean they're going in a bad direction. It just means that we're not going in the same direction together, right? That's okay. You know, it doesn't mean she's a bad person or I'm a bad person. It just means that our callings they don't match up, and that's fine. And I think oftentimes we try to force it, or we try to control one another, or subconsciously manipulate the other person, and then the other person might end up resenting you for that, and then you have a lot of tension and friction in your relationship. I read all these articles, man. I'm seeing a lot of this stuff, and it's like, whoa. So my hope is that I would get married one day. Obviously, that's my. But I'm not waiting to live life until that, right? So I'm still enjoying life. I'm still living life. And I told God 1 year ago, and I said, or maybe 2 years ago, and I said, I want to be married. I want to have a family. I want all that good stuff. But if it doesn't happen, I'm good.
Yeah.
And it took me a while, and I'm not just saying it because some people say it and you don't really mean it, but I genuinely mean it because I have friends that I connect with, I have family, I have tons of nieces and nephews, you know what I'm saying? So I still have a whole, a slew of people in my life that, yes, I would love this, but if it doesn't happen, my life is not going to be in shambles. You know what I'm saying? And so it caused kind of a re-strategizing process, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah, well, at least you got. I, on the other hand, like, when you're gonna get grandbabies, like, don't you think it's time for you to say,
I get that.
no, it is not. In life, I'm not about to do that. And that's not so far fetched. But like, in 28, she's like, well, no, I'm not doing it. But I mean, I get it because she thinks that I'm. You said who wants to do all these things, settle down with her. Nothing wrong with it. People do that and have like fulfilling life. And like you said, I have to travel. I would love to do that. And now that you can't, it's unnecessary child, and you to try to balance all of that. So I think it's always with yourself as you want to get married, but not right now. B, you want to have a kid, but not right now. You want to enjoy life first, and then talk about it, versus just being with somebody just because. Like, I think that's like very, once you get older. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. Yep.
but that's like a whole nother topic.
Correct. Another day.
So what else? Marathon and school. What else do you have?
So that's primarily it right now. The marathon takes up most of my time. School takes up most of my time. Working takes up most of my time. My students take up most of my time. So that's like 95% of what I do, you know. So, and that, but trust me, that is enough. And then, you know, the stuff around the home and just trying to find time to respite and relaxation and recharging is important. So, you know, I'll try to do fun things or connect with family or friends to do enjoyable things. But that's kind of my life right now, at least for the next couple of years, I should say.
Yeah, that's fulfilled. So do you teach the you're studying?
So no. So yes, well, kind of, yes. But I'm not specifically teaching in that actual field just yet. I think as of next year, I'm gonna look to get into some courses.
Okay. That's cool. And you're at Montclair?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to send into Montclair. Maybe I should go by and I have, but so for church, go to Christ Church, right?
Yep.
I haven't gone to the services yet. Are you still doing it online? Because we haven't gone in yet. Still doing it, you know, on Facebook and virtually.
Yeah. Yes. So I've been going. There are times where I have to serve in a certain capacity. So
Yeah.
I haven't been as like every week just yet. 'Cause I'm trying to give myself like a all 1 week on, 1 week off sort of thing.
Yeah.
But whenever I serve, I'm there.
Okay. So how is it? Because I haven't inside yet.
Yeah. I mean, not everyone has returned. Obviously, some people are still online. But you know, a couple of hundred people have trickled back in since Resurrection Sunday in April. April. Yeah. So April.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Go to Prayer Fest?
I did not in person. I did it online this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it online. I said, you know what, let me just do it online this year. And it was, I still enjoyed it, you know, broke it well.
Okay. Yeah, I asked people from Christchurch around, but a lot of them are going in person, but I'm not comfortable.
Yep.
Yeah, I get it. I do miss it. Like, I miss hearing the word like and holding the Bible. I mean, after a while, you feel it. You know? So.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you recommend part of a Bible? Well, we just took a break. The two people who hosted had babies. But do you recommend the groups that you're in? Because I've been searching. Wednesdays are like free now, but like I miss the reoccurring community, you know, for me.
Yeah. So the young adults ministry, I was overseeing that up until last year. Now we have a director, Justina Rivera. So they do a bunch of different types of fellowship. They actually had some all summer, to be honest with you. So what I'll do is I'll once we get off in a couple of minutes, I'll send you some information in regards to it. And if you are interested in that, then I can connect you with her, you know, offline afterwards, and you can chat with her. She's dope. Her and her husband are really dope. They actually, funny enough, they have a worship time frame on the beach this evening. I think at 6 p.m. down by Ocean Grove. I think it's Ocean Grove.
Yeah, down.
Yeah, so I went last year. It was a phenomenal time. I spoke for a little bit out there, but I may not get the chance to go tonight because I have some work to get done. But offline, we can definitely talk about that, and I can definitely connect you if you're interested.
Yeah.
And then the small groups, obviously, you know, small groups like information, young adult small groups, or women's groups, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I've been searching to find that community. So I was like so happy that, you know, life happens. A couple months, and I'm like, that thing. But like, I feel like the community, you know, and keeps you in being on top of, you know, scripture, life, and things. For me, at least.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I definitely connect you once we, afterwards for sure.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. One question, and I can't remember. Do you have any questions? I try to remember what it was like. Right? Dang it!
Any particular ones right now?
We'll come back.
Don't think so.
Now, okay, because I enjoy the, so to speak, I have guests on. Thinking of me doing this, doing it myself every week. A little, not time. Nice to have a balanced conversation versus just me just talking. Because, like that, like,
Yeah,
I'm trying to reach out to new people, also showcase them what they do. So it's been a journey.
I hear you.
It's been fun, and I think I've noticed self confidence and being more assured of myself. I'm not used to doing talking things
Yeah.
in a good way, at least
Well,
during.
keep it up. You're doing great. Keep it up. Just take it one step at a time. Just continue to try to find different ways to improve your craft, as we all do in everything that we do. Use your resources. YouTube has a lot of stuff, obviously. So you're doing great. I've caught a couple of the episodes before, so I've seen kind of a change and a growth and a maturity in it. So keep doing your thing, girl.
Thank you. Oh, so where can we find? Two questions. It was one. I checked out your website. Yeah. Where can we find available?
Also, you mean any information in regards to me?
Yeah, that was
Yes.
book and where can we find.
Got it. Yeah, so I think the link is in my bio. So folks just click on my page, my Instagram page. So folks just click on the link. It'll take them to all the information, or they can just DM me. I think if folks want to chat and have a conversation with me, I'm pretty open. I just ask that people be graceful with my response times, because everything I got going on, I might not see, or I might mentally see it and not respond, or I might not see it at all. So I have a couple of friends saying, "Man, I'm still waiting for a response from you since Tuesday." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I had class, So, but when I give people context of what's going on, then they give me more grace. So yeah. But should be a DM if anything.
Okay, and
Say it again.
podcast. Where can we find your podcast?
Oh well, so I haven't developed an official podcast. I just do a lot of IG lives. It's like a lot of relationship type IG lives.
Okay.
And I bring people, different people on from different backgrounds, different experiences, etc. So folks can just follow me on my Instagram page, and they'll see. They happen randomly. So randomly, really randomly, based on my schedule.
Yeah.
I'm going to try. A couple of folks have asked me to figure out a topic and kind of do another one. I'm hoping maybe over the next couple of weeks, if my schedule, opens up a little bit, I can.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah.
No, I've checked it out. Something like where is it? Like people wanting more versus like some. So that's pretty cool as well too.
Got you. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate the conversation. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, thank you for being back and forth. Bees are vicious. So.
Well, be safe out there, girl.
Appreciate it, I really do. We'll check and for the info.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Okay.
All right, you too. Take care. Tell Mama I said hi.
I will.
All right.
All right. Let's see. Okay. So yes, guys, that concludes the end of Pure Sessions. I appreciate everybody joining in and bearing with me. The sun is so nice out and my head is like burning, but the sun is so good for you. I've been low on some vitamin D, so definitely if you guys can get out, what is it? Almost 5. It was like 2 more hours left of sunlight before it gets dark. So definitely try to get out and enjoy. And I appreciate everybody who tunes in and rocks with me and is patient with me in my journey and my struggles and my life and just me being me. But you guys are awesome. I appreciate you. I see all of you. Definitely when you guys can, check out my EP that came out on my birthday last month parallel. It's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, everything. And you guys can catch me at LANAENPURE on Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify. For more episodes, as well as I'm getting back into doing my saxophone jam sessions. I did a couple last week. I posted one on my page. Definitely check that out. I did Stand By Me, so that was really fun. And as well as I'm getting back to do my live sets, my DJing. It took a little hiatus, but I think I'm back and ready and mentally ready. That's what was really happening. I was physically ready, but not mentally ready. So now I'm mentally ready. So I enjoy being on the turntables. I enjoy my music. I feel like it's very healing, especially like what Elvis was saying, going during this time with mental health and just being in the house and just doing the same thing daily. So I feel like if we can do music and we can just express ourselves, I think it's really healing as well. So definitely stay tuned for that. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday and do something today that you didn't do the day before. And stay beautiful. Peace.